All right. Welcome inside the Media Center here at the DIO Implant LA Open. I am pleased to be joined by Lydia Ko. Lydia, welcome back to the States and your first event in the United States on the LPGA Tour. How are you feeling coming into this week at Palos Verdes?
Yeah, I had a great year when I was here last year, and I really enjoyed the golf course. Before coming to this course, all I'd heard was it was really hilly, and that it was probably one of the hilliest golf courses we've ever played. Mm-hmm. So when I did play here, I was like, oh, you know what? To my pleasant surprise, it's not that bad. I think it's got a good mix of holes, some shorter ones where you can take advantage of, and I think especially in the wind, some holes do play a lot tougher. So I do like the mix of variety, and I always love playing in California. So anytime it brings us over here, I'm excited to come.
We saw you over in Asia, and we saw you win over we saw you win on the Ladies European Tour. What has the start of the year been like for you, and the first time back in the States as a married woman?
Yeah, first one of the year. Even though I finished my season so strongly last year, you don't really have a lot of momentum going into. It's like 2 months plus, and just because you end strong, it's a while since the next one, so I didn't know what it was going to be like. Obviously, expectations is always, being the #1 ranked player, but I was nervous, but at the same time, I said, hey, I got to get the season started to be able to know what other aspects I need to work on in my game, and I think it was that kind of mindset, and that put a lot of pressure off me, and I was very fortunate enough to be able to have the win, and to win as a married woman, definitely like a different feel, but yeah, I think outside of HSBC Singapore, I played pretty solid in 3 of the last 4 events, and hopefully that's a good build up for these next busy stretch of events coming up.
And I know you're a busy one, so before I open it up to the crowd behind me, I know you played with quite a unique group today on your 9 holes of the Pro-Am, an actor and 2 WWE Superstars. Just what was this Pro-Am like for you?
Yeah, Martin, who was the 4th in out of the 4 amateurs in the group, and I've known him for a few years, and he said he's good friends with Daniel Henney, and they said they were going to come out and play, and we were trying to do everything so that we could play the Pro-Am together, but I think there are a lot of demands. The Pro-Am is obviously, it's great to be able to socialize and meet different people, but it's a very important day, I think, for the tour, where we get to spend some time and get to know our sponsors and partners of our events as well. So I'm glad, and I was super excited that I could play with Martin and Daniel and Corbin and Dana today. They were so much fun, and I've never met a WWE fighter before, so to have met 2, it was super cool, and got to listen and hear about their industry a little bit, and I've talked to Daniel before, but our paths never really crossed. So to have met today at an LPGA event was super fun. So yeah, it really couldn't have been a better Pro-Am, and I was telling Dave, my caddy, that if I had to play another 9, I wouldn't mind it. I want to keep going because my group was so much fun.
I know Daniel not only is popular here on TV screens in America, but globally as well. What's his golf game like?
He's very good. He's hit some awesome drives, hit some good iron and putter. So overall, a very good golfer. I think he's left-handed, so at times he'll hit and I'll be like, draw, and I was like, no, wait, it needs to cut. I have to get used to that. But he's good. So it just shows that he obviously likes to go out and play between his projects, and I'm a huge fan. Even my mom took a picture with him. I've always wanted to meet him, so I was definitely fangirling out there today.
Love it. All right, I'll open it up. Ken?
Lydia, it was reported last year that your sister explained that once you hit the LPGA's Hall of Fame points, you might contemplate putting the clubs down as long as you get to the Olympics next year. Is that still kind of your thought process as of now?
Yeah, I'm just trying to take it tournament by tournament. I think especially ever since meeting my husband, I feel like golf yes, it is work, and when I do it, I want to put in my 100%, and while I am playing, I want to play the best golf I can. But it's been just I've been able to embrace it and take in the goods and bads, and just like make everything and the results be like a bonus rather than like me trying to force something out of it. And I feel very grateful about the things that have happened in my life on and off the golf course, and that's just a good place to be at, to be able to compete as well. I'm very close to the Hall of Fame, but I don't think I'm gonna my goal's not out there to go, okay, one more point or another point. Like, obviously I'm 2 points away. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be chasing it. Yeah, I'm sure I'm human. It's gonna be at the back of my mind, and not if, but when I get my next win, I'll be like, okay, now I'm 1 point away. But I'm gonna make that feel as if like I was going into CME last year. Like all the accolades and everything, they're gonna be secondary, and all I gotta do is do a good job of my performance and my technique and everything on the golf course. So that's my primary focus. But yeah, it's who knows how long it's gonna take me. It could be in 2 tournaments, it could be in 20 tournaments, but it would be a huge honor to be part of those names and the legends in the Hall of Fame.
So to clarify, making the Hall of Fame would impact your retirement decision?
It may or may not. Yeah, who knows? I've talked to some of the girls that said, hey, my goal was to retire when I'm 30, and they hit 30 and they're like, I'm gonna keep going on. So you just never know until the very moment. It doesn't mean that like if I can't get to the Hall of Fame, then it's not like then I'm gonna keep playing and playing and playing. I don't want that to be the drive or the stopping factor. I think what has happened in my career so far has been much more than I could have ever asked for. And I'm just trying to play the best golf I can. And if it happens, it's great, but that's not gonna be like the biggest determining factor, I think.
Sure. Yeah. And given your close proximity to the Hall of Fame and the Olympics next year, have you thought about that this might possibly be your last year out here?
I don't think this year will be my last year. Definitely I think Paris was definitely a big goal of mine to be there. I was lucky enough to be able to medal both the silver and the bronze, and to be able to have the trio would be super cool, but anytime to be able to represent your country at a stage like that against the best athletes. That only happens every 4 years. So I think getting to Paris is definitely one of the biggest goals for me. Yeah.
Is this one working?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lydia, you talked about the expectation that comes with #1 in the world. What does being #1 in the world mean to you, and what sort of expectations do you have for yourself?
To be honest, right now I don't really think about it. I think especially at the top 5-ish, it's so close. It can change at every moment. I think if Nelly or somebody like plays better and then becomes #1, then hey, I've got no control of that. I'm just trying to be more consistent, and also just not compare myself to the year I had last year. Last year was probably one of the best years I've had in my career so far. So just I think staying present and doing a good job of what I can control right in front of me is important. I walked past one of the boards and it said I was #1 in the Rolex rankings, and it's not something I Google or like look up every day. So it's just I don't think that's like one of my biggest focuses, and I'm trying to focus more, like I said with the Grant and Tom from Golf Channel yesterday. My goal is to hit over 70% of fairways and 75% of greens, and those are my 2 big goals, and I feel like if I do those aspects better, then the results are going to come with.
And then your thoughts on how the schedule sets up this year. West Coast, last year it was the 2 LA events were back-to-back, but this year obviously you're here this week in Palos Verdes, and then you guys will come back at the end of April to play at Wilshire. Just kind of your take on getting to play these 2 events in LA.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be playing the second LA event. I'm glad I can be out here in PV. This is my first domestic event of the year, so it would be great to kind of start a good momentum for the domestic swing. We've got a pretty busy schedule. I know some of the girls, especially that are playing an international crown, have a long stretch of events starting from Hawaii onwards. I think after Wilshire, the great thing is, especially with some of our majors like KPMG being in New Jersey, and we have a new event in Mizuho in New Jersey. We have a lot of events in that New Jersey, New York area. So it's great that you can pretty much stay over there, and then it's just a little flight from Orlando to go over. So it's, I think from here onwards, it's sad to not be on the West Coast as much, but I think travel-wise, it's logistically a great stretch. And then we come over West Coast for Vancouver, Portland, and that's also a pretty doable drive as well. So yeah, I think the schedule can always look better, I guess, but I think it's trending in the right direction for us with logistics and everything, and I'm sure that's something that the tour and everybody always thinks of when they're organizing it. Yeah.
And what did you take from your top 5 here last year that you can use here in this weekend's event?
Yeah, I remember playing really well on the second day. I think that put myself up on the leaderboard. The wind is a huge factor around here, especially in the afternoon. So, you know, being patient in those windy days and knowing that pars are still going to be good. And sometimes if you do make mistakes, you just know that there's another maybe reachable par 5 or a shorter par 4 that you can recover from. So I think patience is key. Poana can bounce out of your line, but it can also bounce in your line in ways like that. I've had that happen. So I think just being patient and just trusting it and being committed to my shots, and that's all I can do, and whatever the result happens is going to happen. Yeah.
Building off her scheduled question, with the first major now out of Palm Springs into Texas, there was the flow of going from Carlsbad out to Palm Springs. How does that schedule change affect your preparation for the first major of the year out at Chevron?
I think my next event after this one will be Chevron, so I do get a couple weeks off, which is always nice to have a little bit of time off before a long week. Majors sometimes don't feel like 7 days like any other week, and especially if you're contending or you win, it's more like 2 weeks kind of fall right on you. Obviously very exciting to have the partnership with Chevron starting last year. They came on board, and I feel like even though we did play in Rancho Mirage last year, I think they were very respectful of the history that we've had with the Poppies Pond. But it's sometimes sad to leave tradition. But I think the KPMG Women's PGA Championship is a clear example of, it was really hard to leave that New York area where we had the Wegmans and had such long history there. But what KPMG has done to keep elevating that championship, I believe that partners like Chevron and new partners, or even partners that have been with the LPGA for a long time, they're going to keep elevating it. So yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be different to go to a new golf course, but I think the tour has full trust, and we're excited for a new venue of the Chevron Championship.
All right, that will do it for me. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.